Okay, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Peanut Butter Republic. In today's episode, I actually have two more names to add to the garden. And I didn't address this in the last episode, but we actually did fill up the sign, the first sign of the garden. I think that's pretty cool. The names I'm adding today were by request, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, it is my mom and dad. They've been watching these videos as I've been releasing them, which I think is really cool. They've always been my biggest supporters, so to have them, check these videos out means a lot. Anyways, let's go ahead and add them here. All right. That's today's names for the garden. And quick refresher, as usual. If you want your name in the garden, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section, either asking to be added to the garden, or alternatively, if you want to give me any ideas of what to build or what to do, I'll include your name as well as your comment in a video. With that being said, I'm just going to jump straight into today's project. It's a pretty big one, which is why this episode probably is pretty late again. At this point, I'd say it's pretty on brand. I think I kind of had a lucky streak at the start there, but yeah. Hope you guys like this episode, and I'll see you guys over in the building footage area stuff and things. As you can see, I'm kind of in an unfamiliar area. That is because this is the world spawn of the server. You'll notice there's a couple of structures here and whatnot, and I actually built these myself. It's part of the project that I'm starting in this video because I decided to I just sort of had a random idea of what to do, and you can kind of almost guess just from what I've shown off here. But so basically, the spawn area, I've had an issue with it for a while. Not really necessarily an issue. It's obviously it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was completely unprotected. It was unlit. There was really nothing there except a sign telling you where the city was. And so what I went and did is I went and I built this little kind of oasis here with a little pond and a little abandoned semi-constructed structure. And the meat and potatoes of this video is I'm going to be building the title update 11 castle from the tutorial world from the Legacy Console Edition of Minecraft. If you don't know what that is, basically the console edition of Minecraft back in the day used to have a built-in world that would like teach you how to play the game, but it had some like construction stuff in it. So sadly, I did already start the project. Thankfully, I didn't get too far, and I forgot to record. So I flattened out all this area here, which is where the castle will go. And then I also built this little kind of intro / entrance area to the area. The area to the area? You know what I was trying to say. Yeah, so I left the sign here. Obviously, it used to be sitting on the floor here, but I just moved it up like that. I think it looks nicer that way. And then I not completely, but I did a little bit of terraforming here, and I built this structure around the world spawn point. I believe the world spawn point is right here, and these things here are temporary. This is the materials I gathered to make this build. I won't be following a tutorial for this one, actually. Mainly because there aren't a lot of them, and the only one that existed kind of wasn't... I mean, it's okay, I guess, but I mean, it was kind of hard to follow in survival mode specifically. So what I went ahead and did is I actually downloaded the tutorial world on my computer, and then I did kind of a walkthrough. I'm currently like a recording of me showing the intricate details of this build, and then I'm just going to replicate them from the video that I recorded of the actual build itself. Regardless, I'm not being joined today by my friend. This is a solo episode. It's been a little while since I've done that. And I know I mentioned in the previous episode that this episode was going to be a mining episode, but I figured I kind of want to push that a little bit, maybe. partially because you can see the tree here. I used a little bit of TNT in this and kind of blew up the terrain a little bit. But what was I saying? Oh right. I don't know. I was thinking about what I wanted to do for a video, and then I happened to be flying over spawn, and I was like, wait a minute, why not just make spawn more? I mean, it's the first thing people see when they join. I think it'd be really cool if they walk into the join the server and they come up to a giant castle that exit out into a street that leads into Young Thug City, which is what I'm planning to do. I believe it'll be like right around here somewhere, and then I'll have to chop down some of these trees and actually make the path as well. Thankfully, it's not too far. It's actually pretty close. Just make a path that leads right up to here. Anyways, this footage will probably be sped up because not a lot of talking is going to be going on during this. Regardless, I don't really know. I think, okay, at this point, I'm just now going to start the actual building montage. So, yeah.
All right, so it's been a minute since I've done this sort of format where I just sort of, talk over build footage. And one thing I want to mention is that this video took so long to make because I somehow managed to not edit, but record 9 hours worth of building footage. Yeah, so it's the most I've ever recorded thus far on this project. And I imagined that a 9-hour video would probably be too long, so I had to spend about a week, almost 2 weeks, just cutting down that footage, removing all of the boring spots and trying to leave it as much as just like raw building footage and not so much as like the, sorting through inventory or digging through chests or running back and forth between spawn and here to gather materials. And I think I did okay. I managed to get it down to, I think 2 hours, something like that. Nah, actually, I think like an hour and 10 minutes. So this video should be probably just under an hour 30, I think, total. So about looking at my other videos, it will be the longest episode in the series, which it's a big project. Talking a little bit about the project itself, I actually, the very first version of Minecraft I ever properly like got into and put some hours into was the Xbox 360 edition. And as a matter of fact, I continued to play that version of Minecraft pretty much up until 2018, which is when I got my first Xbox, and it was an Xbox One. But up until that point, I had been playing on a 360, and pretty much the only game I really ever played on it was Minecraft. So yeah, I started playing. I didn't get the console until pretty late into the Legacy Edition's lifespan, so I mean, I wasn't around properly for some of these older tutorial worlds. But I did play a lot of Minecraft at friends' houses, and they had pretty much started playing it from when it started. So I was able to play in this tutorial world, the specific building I'm remaking, which is from Title Update 11, a couple of times. So walking through it for the first time when I, first started this project was pretty. I'd say it was a little bit more than a blast from the past. And I think I did pretty good at recreating the main central building, and I know the thumbnail, not the thumbnail, but the video title says I rebuilt the whole, not the whole world, but the tutorial world. That's not necessarily true. I only built the like main structure, just because to do the whole world, it's not a huge world. There's not that many structures in it, but I would have to do a lot more terraforming, and this episode is already taking long enough, so I figured probably wouldn't be the best idea. In this build, you'll notice that I fill up a lot of these spaces with cobblestone. In the original version of the tutorial world, all of that space is just hollow. But because this is like the very first building you see from spawn, I didn't want a bunch of mobs spawning inside of these dark, empty spaces, so I filled them all up with cobblestone. I could have just lit them up, but I don't know. I just it felt weird knowing that there was just these spaces full of just nothing. So I ended up filling a lot of it up with cobblestone. And enough about Minecraft for a little bit. A little bit of a life update for me. We actually just recently adopted a kitten, my wife and I. Um, Her name is Juno. She's a black tabby. I'll put a picture of her now. She is the cutest, sweetest thing. We just barely a couple days ago started introducing the two of them to not the two of them, sorry. Introducing Juno to our other cat, Miso, and I'll put a picture of Miso there as well. Um, at first it was a little iffy. I mean, Miso, she wasn't necessarily being aggressive, but Miso was being really, I think it's hilarious. She was terrified of her, even though she's, so much smaller than her. So she would hiss at her and then take off running and hide underneath the bed or something. But within the last couple of days, um, they've been like actually like interacting with each other a lot more and like playing with each other, which I think is great news. I was kind of worried that that they weren't going to get along because I mean we previously had another cat, but that they didn't get along very well, the two of them. But however, that was different because that was a stray cat that we rescued, and she was already, an adult at that point. She wasn't a kitten. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got going on at the moment. Besides that and work, and I know it's been a minute since I talked about work, but it's pretty much been the same old, same old. Not much really changes on the day to day. However, I have been getting on the weekends. I've been getting shifts where I go in at 7 instead of at 5, and obviously, I get off later. But I do like the change. I think it's nice. I think it's better than going in at 5 a.m. every day, every day that I'm scheduled. Um, but yeah, this build was a lot of fun, and I briefly mentioned it in the intro, but because there's no real solid survival mode tutorials for this build, I had to rebuild it just from like looking at pictures and looking at videos pretty much that I had recorded. And I don't know if I already said this, but I will be putting the download in the description below if you want to download the tutorial world and look through it yourself. If you're looking for a little nostalgia trip, if you did end up playing on this world at all. I tried to keep this build as close to the original as possible. I think in the end, the only changes I really made was I added like a little welcome sign at the beginning and then a bunch of torches everywhere so that mobs don't spawn inside of it. Because it was really unlit, I noticed, in the tutorial world, which I think is strange, but I don't know. But yeah, it was fun to make. It took me a long time. The materials alone was just so much. I mean, I had to get a lot of stone bricks. I thought I had a lot of stone bricks, and I thought that I thought I had enough. I had nowhere near enough. And then halfway through this build, I left my automatic cobblestone farm that I showed off in the Young Thug City tour video. I had it running for a while, but I guess the way the TNT duper works is the second you leave the chunks, like unload the chunks, it breaks and then the whole thing blows up, and I didn't know that. So you have to make sure it's running while you're in the chunk or else it'll break. So I had to rebuild it, which took me a minute. But I did kind of upgrade it and make it a bit more safer and just make it look nicer than the original version of it. And then partially, because I mean, this video would not have taken this long, but I also ended up doing some like decorations on the outside of the build that were not necessarily in the original world. Like I added a lake and a little campsite and stuff and a little dock, which man, part of the issue with like recording these audios over the build footage is I just like want to like talk about the build before I even show the footage. I mean, I'm just spoiling it at this point. I am a little bit out of my depth. It's been a minute since I've done this as well. And I do really enjoy having the guest episodes. I enjoy playing Minecraft with my friend in these videos, but I just needed a bit of a more chiller break episode, I suppose, in which I played solo. Um, Speaking of that, I don't know if I kept it in the footage, but I believe we made like a ground, not a ground, but like a plan for like the future of the series. And I kind of want to say now, I don't think if I kept that footage in there, I can't remember if I did. That's not necessarily the plan anymore. I mean, originally I was gonna have like seasons and stuff in this, and I don't know if I want to do that anymore. Maybe I will in the future, but for right now, I'm just gonna kind of keep it going. Um, After this episode is out, the next project and the next episode we're gonna be working on is we're gonna be working on fighting the Wither. It won't be the next video because my plan before that is to make a totem farm and to do just like get some more materials and whatnot and make some potions and stuff and just be prepared for it. Speaking of totem farm, um, as I was editing this footage, just this week actually, the Ice Show Speed and Kai Sanat. Oh, that's funny. I somehow did not center this window, and I didn't realize I didn't center it until way later for some reason. Unless if I fix it there. Okay, never mind. I guess I fix it there. I could have sworn it was broken, or not broken, but off center for a lot longer than that. Whatever. Anyways, I've been watching the Kai Cenat and Ice Show Speed Minecraft Marathon, and oh my gosh. I I know it's a bit different because I've grown up on this game. I've played this game for most of my life, and I'm sure the two of them have not played Minecraft for nearly as many hours as I've have. But it's just like wow, they just die so much. Although I guess it is easy to say that when I've never really played hardcore Minecraft. I don't know why. Now that I know why. It's because I've been a console player for most of my experience with this game, and so I've never really had a proper chance to explore all the PC stuff. I basically started playing Minecraft on the PC, basically not basically. I keep saying basically. For the first time about like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago at this point. So I'm still kind of new to it. As a matter of fact, just the other day I was trying to dye leather armor, and I accidentally tried to dye the cauldron like how you do on the Bedrock edition, which is really funny. Oh yeah, I'm gonna mention this now. The foliage here is a one-to-one recreation, and I did that by just like taking a screenshot of each quadrant of the um well, what would you call this? Like the little entry park thing? I don't know what you would call this area, but it took me 34 minutes, I think. That's how long the footage I recorded was when I did that part, which is I think kind of ridiculous, but because originally my idea was just okay, whatever, I'm just gonna like do a bunch of random foliage, but then I was like, nah, I'm gonna do a one-to-one recreation. It should be easy, and then it ended up not being that easy. um yeah, hopefully I can get this episode out today as I'm recording this audio. I I did fully finish editing all 9 hours of the build footage, and it's all sped up and everything. So all I have to do really now is just record about an hour's worth of voiceover, which easier said than done. It's only been 12 minutes. I guess I could talk a little bit about this. My wife and I have a friend from home visiting us. As I mentioned before, I moved from Arizona to Seattle pretty much right, I think a couple weeks before I uploaded the first episode, maybe a month, something like that. But we moved from Arizona to Seattle, and so we have one of our friends who lives in Arizona still coming to visit us for the week. So obviously there might not be any other. If I can't get this episode out today, it might be out a little bit later because I won't have any time really to do a voiceover or edit it at all. But if I am able to get it out, there probably won't be an episode out for a little while. But like I said in the intro, it's pretty on brand at this point. I definitely got lucky with those first couple episodes, just the timing of it. And I also recorded I think the first 3 episodes all in one day. But in all fairness, they were all really easy videos. It was me basically doing a tour of my house and then a tour of Spawn. And then the watchtower I actually built before we even recorded the first 2 tour episodes. Because I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, I want to make a Minecraft series. So I just started recording me building the tower, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to make that the first episode. I'm going to give these a tour first, and then upload that video. So, you know, the timing of it was just really good, and I don't know. Me and my friend have tried recording multiple videos in one day, and it gets to be a lot too much. And as a matter of fact, we did record. We recorded a video of us doing a raid, of us going mining, and then obviously the pig house all in one day. But what ended up happening is, I think it was on my end, but the Discord audio of his call came in really low, and it was like impossible to hear him. So all that footage was pretty much useless. And as a matter of fact, I ended up having to scrap pretty much both the raid and the mining footage. And then I was able to salvage the pig video, thankfully. So if there's any like weird sound things with it where like he sounds really quiet in that video, that's why. I did my best to try to make him audible. But I still think that video came out really good. I think it's one of my favorites so far, although I do think this build here, I wouldn't necessarily say this would be my favorite video, because it's kind of just like an hour of building and then nothing else. But it was fun to do, and I think the build itself is really cool. I think it's really nostalgic, and I really like that it's like the first thing you see when you come in from spawn. I think it gives you a kind of a good idea of what the vibe of this world is. I think it's cool that I got to, I rebuilt this, and that there's not a lot of people who have done that, really. Which I think is extra cool. Not that I'm saying I'm the first one to ever rebuild this structure. As a matter of fact, I think I found a Reddit post of somebody who did. There was a video of somebody who did, and then obviously there was a tutorial for like, the tutorial itself was a creative mode tutorial, and it was a tutorial on how to rebuild the entire, like, tutorial world, not just this structure. Which, you know, obviously I could have tried to follow it, but I was like, it'll probably be easier if I just try to do this on my own, and I managed to get that going, and then it took me a while. Sorry, excuse me, I didn't get much sleep last night. I say that, I got 8 hours of sleep last night. I just didn't get much sleep the night before, because I woke up at 2 a.m. the other day, and then went to work at 5. It's funny, actually, I woke up at 2 a.m. and then immediately I cleaned up the house a little bit, and then I just got straight to editing this video. Which I'm really glad I did. I managed to edit for like 2 hours straight, and then that helped get this video much closer to completion, and then I just finished editing the rest of the footage today. I do have to leave here in a little bit to go pick up groceries, but I will be back, and I will be recording more dialogue, not dialogue, but like voiceover as well after that. Speaking of that, we have not driven at all pretty much since we got here. I think I've said that before, but we've driven twice at this point. But we got gas for the first time since we moved to Seattle. Mind you, we've been here for 4 months, and it was $80, which is insane. To fill up the whole tank, though, it was on empty. So I mean, I don't know, that's crazy to me, how expensive gas is nowadays. And I'm so thankful that we don't have to drive every day, and that we're not having to get gas like every week or something, because that's how often I was getting gas back home in Arizona. I was refilling my tank like either every week or every other week if I pushed it. But here it seems like we're not going to be getting gas that often, which is nice. Anyways, it is 11:40 a.m. and the window to pick up the groceries was between 11 to noon, so I'm probably gonna head out now, and I will be back in, well, for you it'll be instantaneously. For me, it'll probably be about like half an hour. All right. And I am back. I had to cart up quite a large amount of grocery bags in a tiny little shopping cart. That was fun. Just ate a bowl of cinnamon toast crunch, and I ate a banana. So that's how you know I'm living large. Um, yeah, I started off with this build by doing like the outer like wall of the actual build itself, and then I kind of started the interior construction inside. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of unused like hollow space in this build, so I figured that would probably be the easiest way to do it. So I started off by doing like the central like main hallway, and then I worked my way to each individual like side room. Took me a long time to do this. Thankfully, I didn't make a lot of mistakes. A lot of the time when I do projects, I make mistakes and I end up having to break a lot of blocks and then like having to replace them in a different way. Um, Thankfully, that didn't happen this time around. And if you're wondering why I used cobblestone to like fill in like the sides and stuff, and I was trying to conserve bricks so that I wouldn't have to use as many bricks. Or not have to use as many bricks, but have to get as many bricks. Because originally I was just gonna fill in all the empty space with bricks, but then I realized that that's gonna take way more bricks than it is just to build the thing. And I can pretty easily get cobblestone. I can't really easily get bricks. And then here is where I decided to put down the lake. I actually wanted to name this lake, but I don't know what to name it. So if you guys have any ideas on what to name this little tiny lake at the end of the video, just go ahead and throw a comment in the section. A comment in the section. A comment in the comment section down below. There we go. That sounds right. Yeah, oh, there's a little kitten in here now. Oh, and another reason why this project took as long as it did is because when we had just recently adopted the kitten when I started, and so we had the kitten kind of sectioned off in our room temporarily just so she could like adjust to the new environment and stuff without being super stressed out by the other cat. And because of that, my desk and my computer are in this room. So I had the kitten constantly attacking me and climbing all over me and climbing over my desk and not that I'm complaining or anything. I think it's adorable, and it was really it's funny looking back at it now, and it was funny even then. I was just like, okay. So yeah, the room I'm building here in the tutorial world was the room that was used to teach players about basic farming mechanics, as well as not farming mechanics, but no, I guess so. Yeah, kind of. It's a sugarcane and melon farm, although it's not really a melon farm. It's just blocks of melon. But the whole point of this room is to teach people how to brew potions, and it does so by giving you all the ingredients you need to make fire resistance potions. And then you'll see why fire resistance specifically. I'll get to that eventually, but I will say this build is really close to my friend's observatory, which might end up becoming an issue later on. I hope it doesn't. But it might. That is if my friend ever decides to get back into the server and actually finish the observatory. I've said it before, but that person who built that observatory is the only player in the realm who is in creative mode actively. And that's just because my friend asked nicely and everybody was like, yeah, that's fine. But my friend just is not a huge fan of like regular survival mode and just prefers building. So, I mean, makes sense to put them in creative mode, I think. This room I actually did mess up on. I messed up the placement of a couple walls in here, and I do end up going back and fixing them at some point, thankfully. Yeah, it does suck, though, making mistakes like that. Just adds a lot of time, because then not only do you have to, you know, fix it, but then you wasted all the time putting it down, and then you have to break it and then put it down again, and it's just like, So yeah, this specific tutorial world was one of the first ones I ever actually played on, and it was from I've already said it before, but title update 11. If you're confused by that wording, basically before Minecraft Bedrock Edition was Bedrock Edition, it was the console edition, and each console edition was done instead of by Mojang, it was developed by 4J Studios, and so they kind of had a different development schedule, and instead of calling their updates like just regular updates, they called them title updates. I don't know why specifically, but that's what they called them. And because the game was being developed by a different team, they're just the schedules were a bit different. Like I think we got the last major update I believe that the console edition received might have been the update Aquatic, but I could be wrong. I know for a fact that it did get the update Aquatic. I'm just not 100% sure if that was the last update it got. Oh. Okay, so after doing some quick research on my old telephone, it turns out the PlayStation 4 edition of the game, which was also Legacy Console Edition, their final update version was the Village and Pillage update, which I think is crazy. Um, at that point, I think I'd already been playing Bedrock because I remember playing the Village and Pillage update, just definitely not on PlayStation. So, but the final update for the Xbox 360, the PS3, the PS Vita, and the Wii U was in fact the update Aquatic, which for those of you who don't remember or don't know is the ocean update that added, dolphins and all the different fish and the different ocean biomes and such things like that. Funny, I very vividly remember being so excited for that update. I think I was in middle school at the time, maybe just barely entering into high school. Yeah. And then it came out, and I remember I spent the whole summer playing Minecraft pretty much with my friends. Good times. Speaking of Legacy Console Edition, I suppose I should announce this now. I am looking into changing the textures of the playthrough. However, not from the old classic textures like this, but rather I'm going to download an overhaul resource pack that basically makes it look more like the console edition just because I don't know, just cuz. I suppose I don't really have a reason. I've said it before, I don't think the old textures are better per se visually. I just think they just feel better. And because this whole series has kind of turned into a fairly nostalgic Let's Play series, I figure it makes sense to try to maybe look more like what my Minecraft experience actually looked like when I was first playing it as a kid versus alpha Minecraft. Because I did, like I said before, I didn't play alpha Minecraft. I didn't grow up on PC Minecraft. In fact, I pretty much exclusively played Pocket Edition and then the Legacy Console Edition. I was around at the time when all those versions merged into Bedrock Edition. I remember that being a pretty big thing. I remember being pretty excited about it. It's interesting to think how far this game has come since, even just then. But I mean, especially since the very beginning, but... So yeah, in this room down here, what I'm building is, in the tutorial world, there was like a secret hidden, not a hidden basement, it's not even a secret. There's a basement that has a lava moat with a little bridge to get, you'll see it, but it's like a redstone thing. And with the redstone, I actually just recreated the redstone one-to-one from the actual world itself, which I think is pretty wild to me that the redstone works in this version, even though it's technically from an entirely different version of Minecraft. Although I guess the redstone probably was pretty similar, like the way it functioned. Yeah, I spent a lot of time Oh, I accidentally created a redstone clock there. I spent a lot of time editing out any like footage of me digging through my inventory because I do that a lot when I'm building. Obviously, I mean you kind of have to. This room is actually pretty expensive to make too, just because of the gold blocks. Um, it wasn't that hard to get that much gold, though, I'll say, especially with the gold farm that we have in the Nether. Which I definitely need to upgrade at some point, because it's not very efficient. You have to AFK it for several hours just to get, like, even the smallest amount of gold. And as I finish up the redstone there, I do want to thank everybody who's been watching these videos and who's been commenting on them. I really do appreciate it. I know I've said that about a million times before at this point, but I still think that this is like the coolest thing ever that I'm actually doing this. I am getting kind of a little bit of just the tiniest amount of burnout, but that's just from the video editing. I don't know how like old school YouTubers used to be able to do daily uploads. That's just like, well, I mean, obviously they probably weren't working full time, or most of them probably weren't married at the time either. But you know, it's just, it's hard. I say hard. Editing videos isn't like the hardest thing in the world. I'm sure that there's harder things to do, but and it is sort of my fault. I don't know how I ended up recording 9 hours worth of building footage. I mean, I get that this was like a big project, but I even so the way I normally film these videos is I usually just film them in like one long singular take. However, for this one, I was like, okay, that sucks doing that because then I have to edit one huge block of like 4 hours worth of footage. So I was like, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll record each section of this build in one video and then cut the cameras, get the rest of the materials I need for the next section, and then start recording it there. However, I ended up having like 40, not 40, 40 is an extreme number, like maybe 12, 10, something like that, individual blocks of footage to go through. And it all added up to be 9 hours long. Thankfully, a lot of it I could just cut because it was a lot of footage of me just gathering materials like cobblestone and bricks, standing around waiting for them to smelt and such. So I ended up just getting rid of that footage just because I mean, I don't know. I think with this footage already was pretty long. And to have even included those parts, it would have been like 4 hours long if I included all of that. So it makes the most sense to just like remove that footage entirely, I think. It's also not that fun to watch either. It's literally just me standing around waiting for cobblestone to smelt in a super smelter, or me standing next to a cobblestone farm AFK. Like you're really not missing much, I promise. I did mess up the wall here, then I had to go back and fix it. I didn't have a silk touch on my axe, so I do have silk touch on my shovel though, which is why you see me using my shovel to break the bookshelves. I actually got most of these books from the Stronghold library because I was like, how am I gonna get that many books? It's gonna take me forever. So I ended up just, you know, completely harvesting one of both libraries that spawn in our stronghold. Oh yeah, and then at this point you can see him here. My friend Timmy joined, and we played Minecraft for a little bit. He hasn't actually appeared in any videos yet. I say yet. He might never. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I think I might have mentioned in the first episode. But him and I used to make videos together when we were little kids that were like really, really stupid. Not stupid, but like just like, you know, little, just like the kind of videos little kids make. Oh yeah, I killed this baby chicken, and then he. really funny how sped up it is. It makes everything very silly. But he threw an egg and it hatched a baby chicken. I ran over and killed the baby chicken. Then he hit me, but I just cut it at a funny point. But yeah, we played Minecraft for a little bit. I basically like finished the library and then we ran around. I helped him make a base. And then after he got off, I went straight back to work on this. Obviously, you don't see any of that because it's all cut. It'll just cut straight to me going back to building it again. So this room here is the library, which specifically served the purpose of teaching you how to enchant items, obviously. There's an enchanting table. And then I'm not really sure what this back little room is supposed to be, but obviously I built it because it's included in the build, so... And I do apologize. There are a lot of portions of this building footage that are during the night. I just am really bad about remembering to sleep. Because on my screen it looks fine, like I can see pretty well, but I know YouTube compression kind of makes dark spaces really hard to see. So if it's hard to watch these parts, I understand that. But I do try to sleep a lot in this build, thankfully, but there are definitely portions of it where I did not. Yeah, talking a little bit about our friend that's visiting. They're going to be here tomorrow. Today is Tuesday, so they'll be here on Wednesday. And then we're going to drive up to the coast of Washington. We're going to go to Forks, which, for those of you who don't know, is where the Twilight series is based. I don't think they actually recorded any of like the movies there, but they definitely, I'm pretty sure that at the very least the town, not the town, but the movies are set in Forks. I say that like I've ever seen the Twilight movies. I actually haven't. Oh, there was me putting down the enchanting table. So yeah, I also like the functionality of this build because now it gives people a place to, I mean, obviously there already is a place, but now it gives people an extra place somewhere they can like enchant their tools and like smelt their potions and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of feelings going through me as I was constructing this, like just mainly just feeling. Obviously, I feel like this word comes up a lot in this series. I might be wrong. I might not have said it that much, but it was very nostalgic to me. Obviously, this wasn't the main tutorial what I played on. I think I played on pretty much all of them. Because at a point, especially early on in development, pretty much every update they were, or like not every update, but like every other update or every couple updates, they were getting a new tutorial world. So it was changing pretty constantly. But the one I mainly spent time on was the one with the Elytra track built into it. In fact, I actually had a world, my main Minecraft world for like a couple of years was a tutorial world where I like had like a little base on the side of a mountain that I lived out of. It's on a flash drive somewhere, and I would love to find that flash drive, but I just don't even know. I gave it to my sister at one point, and I don't know where it's gone since then. I don't know. I kind of am a little sad. I really haven't had like a forever world ever in Minecraft. I know that's a pretty common thing nowadays. But on Bedrock Edition specifically, there was a glitch, not a glitch, I'm sure it still happens. There's a feature where if you unplug your console while playing Minecraft, the world would get corrupted. And sadly, I did that a lot because in my parents' house, a lot of the sockets I'm not sure if this is a super well-known thing, but sockets get this thing where they get like loose, where like the cords struggle to like stay in them. And pretty much all the sockets in my bedroom were like that. And so the way I had my TV and my console set up were like right next to the wall, and I would basically accidentally unplug it. Well, it was really easy to do, but you'd like bump into the wall and it would unplug. So I lost a lot of worlds doing that. But I'm happy to say that this is one of the longest Minecraft worlds I've personally had for a long time. I've been playing on it for about almost a year and a half at this point, I think. Something like that, maybe just a year. On and off, but more recently, since I moved from Arizona to Washington, I've been playing it pretty much constantly. Doing a lot of projects and just building a lot of random things. I just now realized I kind of zoned out for a minute there. I just realized that we're now on the second floor. So this here is the master bedroom. That painting down there is a placeholder. So if you do download the world download in the description below, I will say this much: any paintings or item frames are broken. They'll just like be on the ground when you first start, and so the original paintings, how they were, are not there technically. So what I had to do is I had to watch a video from like 13 years ago of somebody playing the tutorial world to accurately recreate all the paintings. And I'll do that at some point. And then also, I try to get the toad exactly right. I ended up finding out that you can use F3 to see what a note block is tuned to, like what note it is. You can see me do it here. So I went into the tutorial world and I looked at them, and then I just like copied them exactly one to one. So the sound that plays when you flick that lever is the same sound that you would hear in the tutorial world originally as well. And then also here's me putting down all the proper paintings. This specific one took me quite a while to get. Mainly because I guess that one's kind of rare. I don't know. I say rare, but then it was right there. That one just took forever for some reason. I don't know. It was weird. Oh, hello, kitty. I am now being joined by my kitty, Juno. You want to say hi to the mic, Juno? Say hi to the mic. Oh, you got nothing to say? I don't know if the mic picked that up, but she meowed. She's very cuddly, I'll say that. She really likes to just get up onto your lap and just like brush up against you. She also purrs a lot. But yeah, I'm very glad that we adopted her. We picked her up from the Humane Society in Kent, Washington. Cute little thing. Very easy to get distracted when making these videos, when you have this little kitty running up to you and trying to play with you all the time. That was a big thing too when I was making, like, first building this structure, is I literally would just like stop playing for like 15-20 minutes just to play with the cat. She's just so dang cute. It's just like impossible to like, it's impossible to like resist. And I will say though, now that her and the other cat have gotten acquainted with each other, and now that they're actually like playing with each other, she has started to become a little bit more independent from myself and my wife. I mean that's obvious though. I mean, she was locked in here, not locked in here, but she was in here for like the first couple days we had her. So of course she would be interacting with the only person around her, which would be me. Isn't that right, kitty? But yeah, kind of running out of things to talk about, really. I mean, nothing really has changed. It's been the same old pretty much since we got here. You know, just wake up, go to work, come home, play some Minecraft, and then until my wife gets off of work, and then, you know, have dinner, watch some shows, hang out with her, and then go to sleep, and then rinse and repeat. I am really excited to hang out with our friend and get out and go do some things. But that being said, I do really like how chill it is here. Just, you know, just like hanging out with the wife and watching TV and stuff. It's very nice spending time. I've mentioned it before, but I used to work night shifts at my old store back home at Target wise. And because I worked nights and my wife worked in the early mornings, we never really got to like properly like hang out and do stuff together in the day, really. Which, you know, sucked. But what we would end up having to do is we would end up having to stay up super late together every night and just play games, which was like the only thing really that you could do that late. But it got to a point where that wasn't really working either because you know, because of my wife working in the mornings, staying up late made it really hard for her to wake up and, you know, go to work the next day. So I'm really thankful to have this like morning schedule now, and it just makes it so we can spend a lot more time together, which has been very nice. So my original plan, going back to what I was talking about earlier with the Wither, is I was gonna try to get a bunch of people on the server to join all together and have us fight it, but the more I'm trying to do that, the more I'm realizing that's probably not gonna happen. So what's probably gonna end up happening is it's probably just gonna be me and my friend, the Rat Man, who's joined me for a couple of the previous episodes. Which, you know, that's fine. So we have a couple of preparations we need to do before we fight the Wither. Like I said, we need to make a totem farm. We need to make we need to make a lot of potions and just overall prepare ourselves. I also think I want to fight maybe 3 Withers so that I can have a beacon, he can have a beacon, and then I can have a beacon for the spawn. But we'll see how that goes depending on how long it takes us to fight just the one Wither. I don't know if you heard that, but something just slammed outside. The apartment building we live in, the water got shut off this morning. They had some sort of issue with the pipes or something that they needed to fix. So pretty much since we've gotten here, they've just been like doing a lot of maintenance stuff, like pretty much every day. Well, I guess when we first moved in, they had just recently gotten a new property manager, and from the reviews that we've read online, it seems like this place hadn't really been super taken care of by the previous property manager / managers. So the new guy that just started when we got here, pretty much is kind of like locked in on like actually making the place look nice and like just be nicer in general. So kind of lucky for us. That we ended up moving in at such a specific time. Yeah, like I said, so any of the spaces filled in with cobblestone would have been just like purely hollow in the original iteration of this build in the tutorial world. You can see me running around trying to map out where to put all the lights and stuff. Cat's licking me. I always forget how weird cats' tongues feel. It's like sandpaper. It's so weird. Yeah, it is nice having a little friend to hang out with me while I make these videos, though. But very distracting, as I've said before. Thankfully, we're almost. I think we're just over the halfway point for this building footage. Because once I finish the roof, that's it. I think the next thing I do is I add detailing on the outside, and then I do the outside, like the lake and stuff like that. Yeah, for some reason this part took me a long time. I think it's because I was trying to like mimic it exactly, so I don't like run back and forth between the two sides constantly just to make sure they were block accurate to each other. The second time around it wasn't too bad. So yeah, the next episode probably will not be a build project. It'll probably be I think I'm gonna save the totem farm for maybe the video after next, but the next video will be us, my friend and I, gathering materials. Maybe we do a trial chamber just to gear ourselves up in preparations to fight the Wither. Because I definitely think my plan is still to fight the Wither, and then once we fight the Wither, to fight the Ender Dragon. I think that's definitely still, you know, part of the plan. I definitely do want to fight the Ender Dragon on video. I think that's just like, that'll be just like the coolest thing ever. It's been so long since I fought the Ender Dragon, so to have it be on camera, I think is gonna be pretty sick. I am kind of slightly concerned about the Sand Duper, the collection chamber, though, because I don't know. I'm worried about the Ender Dragon breaking it, because I know the Ender Dragon can break player-made structures, so I'm just like concerned. But I don't know. I'm sure it'll be fine. I think if we just try to have the dragon not be around the portal at all, or like not the portal, but like the spawning platform that you come in from in the end, it should be fine. I will announce this here now. Um, After we fight the Ender Dragon, we are going to be starting a pretty big project. We're going to be making a zoo. And the first step of that is we're going to be building an aquarium. So we're going to build an aquarium and then we're going to make a zoo, me and my friend. So that's going to be like the next, not next, but like the big project coming up. And then I have a couple of other projects between that and I don't know. I have a lot of things planned and a lot of things coming up on the horizon. So just keep an eye out for any new episodes of this series. And again, thank you guys so much for checking these out. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, just make sure to fill in all of the hollow spaces, and then here is when I started adding the exterior detailing. So these details that I'm adding with the mossy bricks and the cracked bricks, these are actually a one-to-one recreation from the tutorial world itself. And the way I did that is I got rid of all the vines that were covering all the blocks on the outside, and then I took screenshots and just recreate them based off of the screenshots. So pretty easy to do. And then after that, I went in and on a fresh copy of the tutorial world, and I put the vines down as well, one-to-one. This was probably one of like the easiest recreations that I did. I think was this, because it literally is just me breaking blocks and replacing them on each corner of the build. But yeah, you can kind of see me like counting and to make sure I get it on the right block and stuff. I will say I do have, I'm really talking about my setup. I have 2 monitors in my setup, so it's really nice for stuff like this where I can just like, okay, look at the image right next to me and then look back at Minecraft. You know what I mean? I don't have to like close Minecraft and reopen anything. Although I did a couple times just for the sake of like, okay, I need to know where this is, but I didn't record it. I did exit out this world and quickly swap into the copy of the tutorial world and then jump back into this one. Yeah, thankfully the walk to the grocery store earlier wasn't too terrible. It takes about like maybe like
15 minutes, if even that. And then I did an order pickup, so I just had to walk in and get my stuff. But I had to order a little bit of extra than I usually would because we have our friends staying with us for a week, so I needed to make sure that we had food for, all of us. So I had to buy a couple of extra things. And I ended up having to like carry one of the bags because we have our own personal shopping cart. But it's pretty small now that comparatively to how many bags we had, because I had like I think 6 bags and I could barely even fit 5 of them in there. But yeah, the walk itself was fine, so that's nice. And then I do have somewhere to be at like around 4 o'clock, so it's 1:30 now. Hopefully I can get this recording done before then, and so that way I can have the video be ready to be uploaded after I make the thumbnail. Okay, so I just took a look. I'm in the final stretch here for recording voiceover. I have 15 minutes left of footage. I somehow managed to properly yap for a total of an hour and like 20 minutes, I think. um, sorry if these voiceover parts are just like kind of like all over the place and very like misconstrued, not misconstrued, that's not the right word, but like not super structured. I like I said before, I don't write any scripts for this. This is all just kind of off the dome, so to speak. And I do think I want to keep it that way. I don't think I want to start scripting these videos. If I do make any other videos, I probably might script those. I have a couple of other videos ideas that are actually not Minecraft that I think I want to work on pretty soon here. I do also think I want to play some games on this channel as well, and I think the first game I actually want to properly play, I think, like do a playthrough on, I think is going to be Undertale. Just because I haven't played that game all the way through ever. When I haven't really played it that much at all, so I think I'm going to be doing like a let's play of Undertale. I'm not going to be like trying to like hop on any like trends or anything like that, or like play popular games and stuff. At least not for now. I think for now, this will kind of just, this whole thing is kind of just like for me as like a creative outlet, you know, it's like my own thing. I'm not really doing this to get big and famous or whatever. Although that I'm saying that as if I wouldn't be extremely excited if that were to happen, because trust me, I would be. But you know, if it never gets off the ground or whatever, if it's just kind of a hobby, then oh well, I'm cool with that too. I try to make this lake look like naturally generated, but I don't really know how lakes naturally generate in Minecraft, to be honest, so I don't know how good it looks. Got a lot of dirt from this project, though. I donated most of it to the dirt house so that my friend can hop on and finish it. And then I went right back to adding the vines, the detailing of the vines. So yeah, like I said before, these vines were also one-to-one. So what I did, the vines you see me placing are meant to grow downward, and so that they grow into the patterns that was seen in the original tutorial world. So it's not one-to-one now, but once the vines grow, it will be. Oh, and then here's me building the road that leads you to spawn. Yeah, just a nice little dirt pathway. I know I said I cut out most of the inventory parts, but I definitely left in quite a few. I basically took out the ones where I like was sat AFK in the inventory, or just like sorting through it for like more than like a couple of seconds.
Because I think the couple seconds is fine. You know, it's not really doing much. And then as you can see, I try to add in some like gravel. It's supposed to look like it's naturally generated. And then oh yeah, so with here, the reason why I filled in the top layer with cobblestone first is because just so you could fill up the top layer full of water, then break the cobblestone and have the water fall down. However, when you do it that way, it makes it so that the water below the surface isn't source blocks. And I don't know if you guys know this, but fish and things like that don't spawn in water if it's A, not deep enough, and B, if it's not a source block. So I had to later on in the build go through with kelp and make sure to plant a bunch of kelp to make sure that the lake properly was all turned into source blocks. And then as you can see, this is me filling up the lake now. It's actually funny, there's a bunch of mobs that spawn down inside the water at this point. Not inside the water, but down below the layer of cobblestone. A couple creepers came up, and thankfully because I'm in water, them being there wasn't that big of a deal. They basically would just swim up to the surface and then explode and not really do much. I more so think it's kind of funny that they were down there. I don't know if I cut that part out. We'll see. Okay, well, you saw it for a split second. Yeah, a creeper swam up and exploded. There's another one. I think the lake is a nice touch. I think it adds a lot to the space, and I think it makes it not look so, like, barren. Because I think without it, it would just look very, like, empty and, like, kind of weird. Yeah, and then I went ahead and I added some trees and stuff in the area. And I also, oh, here's me adding the kelp. I added vines on the trees because in the tutorial world itself, when you come out the back door or like the back entrance, you exit out into a swamp biome. And I kind of wanted to pay homage to that by just having the oak trees have vines growing off of them, like how they do in swamp biomes. Which I think makes it look really... I think it makes it look really cool with the oak trees with the vines on them. Yeah, as you can see, this part took me quite a while to do. Thankfully, I will say it was worth doing it though, because fish spawn inside this lake now. There's I think like a family of salmon that lives in there, and then there's I think just the salmon actually. Still, definitely worth it. And then yeah, once I finish the filling in the lake part, so this little dock here that you're gonna see me put together, this is actually not stolen, but like copied from the tutorial world. They're the docks that you see at spawn. Oh, and then I actually blew up a creeper here and I had to fix it. Thankfully, the creeper didn't blow up like the actual build itself and only blew up just like part of the ground outside of it, which is nice. So yeah, just some finishing touches now, just adding in like a signpost and stuff that tells you with the direction of Young Thug City, although it is fairly obvious, I think. So yeah, this whole lake design was my idea. This isn't obviously, at this point, nothing you see anymore is recreated from the tutorial world. I just figured that the outside area should have some sort of decor, and that it shouldn't just be super, you know, kind of bland and empty. Or not decor, but like the outside terrain. I think this little outer area came out really cute. I think it's nice. I think it's simple. I'm a big fan of how it turned out. As you can see, we shrink the dock by 1 by 2. I don't know. I think the 3 wide just makes it look a little bit too bulky. I think the 2 wide makes it look right in my head. So yeah, all in all, this is definitely the biggest project that I've taken on so far in this series, and I think that it definitely shows in just like the size of it and stuff. But I'm really happy with how it came out. I'm really happy with the process. I think it was a fun build to do. I'm excited for the next big project. As you can kind of see me here, deciding how exactly to decorate the little dock area and stuff. And then I throw together a little campsite, which I think is super cool. Oh yeah, and then I totally filled up this chest with the fishing rods so that people who join for the very first time can like grab a fishing rod and just grab a couple fish. You know, just to make sure that they have a quick access to food. Then I finished the roof, because I guess at this point I hadn't finished the roof. I don't know why. I definitely think it's my ADHD, but I do things in such like a weird order. I just like I did all the exterior detailing before I even finished the roof. Because these videos are all definitely ported in order. I definitely made sure of that. So it's not like, oh, I did this first and then I did all the outside decorations. No, I did all the outside decorations and then I finished the roof. Which I think was an interesting choice on my behalf. And you can kind of see me running back and forth trying to get a feel for what it was supposed to look like. Thankfully, I did a majority of the roof before doing the outside, because it would suck if I still had like the whole roof to finish here. I just assumed that I had already finished the roof. I thought that's why I was doing the outside decorations. I totally spaced that that I did this so out of order. Oh yeah, and then my first attempt, I totally built this tower wrong as well. Not really sure how I didn't catch it the first time that it was wrong, but it's fine. Thankfully, I didn't get too far on the construction part of it before having to break it down again. I have gotten definitely better at making sure to like triple check before I like, okay, this looks good when following these tutorials, because usually I would make a mistake like that and I wouldn't notice it until way later. So it is nice that I actually have gotten better at like double checking my work and making sure that it's accurate before moving on. Because it would have sucked if I didn't do that and I instead waited until way later to make sure. Not to make sure, but like notice it way later. How many times do I run back and forth? Oh my gosh. I think, yeah, I was just really stumped on this corner tower part because of the stairs. Because I know the stairs are only like that on one side. It doesn't have stairs on both sides. Which it really should. I don't know why it doesn't. Theoretically speaking, I guess it would have been fine if I was to have added... Oh, there's me killing a creeper. Oh, yeah, this is the part of the video when I realized that I needed to light up the outside area here, or else mobs would spawn here. Because for a while I thought it would have been fine, but saw the creeper down there and I was like, oh, nope, that needs to be changed. Yeah, almost done here. This is, I think, the last thing I did before going in and adding the nether portal and a couple of other random decor. Yeah, so this, it's weird to me, there's only this small section where there's detailing like that on the roof. And then here's me going in and adding the nether portal.
All right, and that concludes this build. I'm going to approach the kind of showing off of the build a little bit differently this time, and I'm going to kind of show it with the HUD turned off and do like a full walkthrough. So yeah, you start off in the spawn area. The spawn is obviously inside this little sort of a abandoned shack, and then you kind of have this little oasis with like a nice little pond. Got a sign here that says Young Thug Castle. Which then you come up these steps, which enters you into sort of this like entry room here. There's supposed to be a chest here. I forgot to put that back. So yeah, once you exit out this area, you come out into like the courtyard. You have a tunnel that leads to the void there, but you have a tunnel that leads out to pretty much nothing on that end. In the actual tutorial world, I believe there's a farm on that side. On that side, there's a redstone, not a redstone, but a minecart that takes you to a desert temple. But this isn't supposed to be like a full recreation, just the recreation of like the main central building. Anyway, so yeah, we have this nice little courtyard, and as you saw in the video footage, all of this foliage is 1-to-1. The only differences I really made are all the torches, and that's just to prevent mobs from spawning here. Yeah, you come up these steps into sort of like the main hallway. Down here is the basement, which has sort of a little lava moat here, and you flick the lever, which brings up a path. All these chests are empty. However, in the tutorial world, they would all contain music discs, and I don't really have all of the music discs to do that. And also, I don't know what the point of being putting. I don't know that putting one music disc in every chest would be a good idea, because then somebody might just take it and ruin the whole thing. So they're just gonna remain empty. They're pretty much just there because they were there in the original build. But yeah, as you can see, this redstone back here was actually also a 1-to-1 recreation of the tutorial world. And if you want to play through that tutorial world yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below to download the map from Planet Minecraft. Regardless, you come out into this sort of main area, and on your right here, you have the potion brewing room. Sort of the same deal with the chest down below. So there's a hidden chest through here, which you would get with fire resistance potions, and you would get the fire resistance potions by brewing them here. And obviously these chests would have all the materials you need to do that. I actually might add those in, the materials, because I think that wouldn't be too hard to do, like a couple stacks. I think it'd also just be cool to be able to access that. However, there is obviously nothing in that chest, so maybe I should put something in there to like incentivize people to do that. I'm not sure. And then you have the farm here as well. Yeah, pretty simple room. Most of the rooms in this build are really simple. And then you come out here, you go straight, which this would then be on your left, and in here is the enchanting room / library. Got a nice little table. Got the enchanting table. This chest here would have all the materials you need to actually enchant. which I might do that as well, just so people have a place to enchant. I know there's already a place at spawn, over in Young Thug City, but I think it would also be cool to have another spot here. And then there's really nothing up in this room, although I've now noticed that that is cobblestone and that does need to be brick. I'll fix that. Any small things like that, I'll just fix. um, we'll show that off later, but now we can show off the upstairs area. So first thing you'll notice is this painting here, and there is a secret room hidden behind it, which I'll show you in a minute. But so on your right, you have sort of like a little sleeping guest bedroom. It's got 2 beds, a couple bookshelves, nothing too crazy. Yeah, pretty simple. And then in here, you have like the master slash main bedroom with a jukebox. And you have all these paintings here. You have the double bed, nice little bed frame, bookshelves, and then obviously you have the lever here, which once flicked, obviously plays a tone, or not a tone, but like a little sound. And that lever is connected to this secret door here, which opens up into sort of like the hidden nether portal room. And then you can also see the courtyard through this window here. Yeah, that is the tour of the main building finished, and I'll go ahead and close the portal door behind me. The redstone behind here is also a one-to-one recreation as well. Yeah, you come downstairs, you go out this back exit here, and you come out to sort of this kind of swampy tree area. And it next to a lake. I do need to get rid of all this kelp. The only reason why the kelp was there is to make these all source blocks so that fish and stuff can spawn in the lake. But yeah, you have a nice little lake. I did make this lake myself as well. This stock here is actually ripped from the tutorial world. And in here you have access to a bunch of fishing rods, so you can go ahead and go fishing. And then this dock obviously is my own inclusion. This was not in the tutorial world. We got a barrel for fish, a smoker to cook the fish, and then a cute little campsite here. You can also cook your fish on that campfire as well. But yeah, this is all my own addition. None of this was included in the tutorial world, excluding the dock, but this wasn't included here. It was included in like the actual spawn area. And real quick, we'll do a quick run around of the actual building itself. The vines on the side are also one-to-one recreations, as well as all the cracked bricks and mossy bricks as well. Yeah, pretty simple on the outside, nothing too crazy. Got some brick towers, and then I'll also show off the roof as well. Oh, and real quick, because I kind of skimmed over it, there is also a signpost here that says Young Thug City, which obviously points to the city. Yeah, you come out through here, and then this is the other side. We've talked about this before. This is a observatory that's not finished. The only thing that I kind of am a little tiny bit concerned about is that my building kind of, connects directly to this building. I'm sure it won't be that big of an issue, hopefully. Yeah, regardless, more one-to-one vines, and then show you the backside up here. Nothing too crazy, just a couple of fire chimneys. And then obviously you can see the spawn area that I did as well. Yeah, now officially, if you were to join the realm for the very first time, you would spawn here, and this would be the first thing you see. I think that's pretty cool. All right, let's go check out the roof now. So yeah, you get to the roof, come over here, you got a ladder on this side of the courtyard that leads up to some stairs. And then these stairs lead up onto the roof. Nothing too crazy up here either. It's pretty simple. We have this chest also would normally contain a music disc, but it's not there. And then you can kind of see into the room down below. And then nothing else too crazy besides that. That is the completed build. So this is now Young Thug Castle finished. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button. If you want to see more content like this, then hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified of new episodes of the Peanut Butter Republic here, um, just make sure to hit that bell icon, and you'll get a notification every time a new episode is uploaded. Um, yeah, this was definitely fun to do. Um, I I want to say it was pretty easy, but I mean, it did take me a couple days to do. Um, and then I'm probably gonna go through and clean it up a little bit, maybe show you guys what it looks like when it's all cleaned up and stuff. But thankfully, not a lot of changes need to be made. I only made a couple mistakes. So yeah, this is Adam Jandler, aka AJ, signing off. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one.